On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. One thing, the big point I wanted to make today, transition, it's definitely happening right now. Literally, we are in the process of transition. We are transitioning from the old system to the new system. This is the part where all the questions are. We don't know how this is going to go. Nobody does, frankly. But what I'm saying is, it's definitely happening right now. Has been for the last, 2-3 weeks. It's going to continue for the next few months. This is going to be an interesting time. Again, hopefully you're prepared. Hopefully you've got some backup food. Hopefully who knows? Don't know what's going to happen. Some backup cash if you can. We just don't know. A lot's going on. I think Trump's doing the best he can to try to keep this transition under his best control as possible. China is having a really hard time right now. They'd never admit it. But from all sources that we've been able to find, they are not handling this well. So there is a lot of back deal, back door, back room kind of conversations happening right now. And it seems that we are moving in a direction where a deal will be made. Now, nothing's been promised, so the stock market still can't react properly. But we understand there's a big deal. And one of the key questions that we also understand is the fentanyl crisis. And that's kind of an interesting question that China might ask, like, how can we fix that? What is it that you're exactly trying to get us to stop doing? And China may not as much be trying to do that as much as the criminal enterprise and or the CCP. So again, Xi might be saying, all right, what is it you need me to do? And Trump and them are going to talk. How it plays out in front of the public, the optics of it, if you will, it's going to be a different story entirely. So don't get too far ahead of yourselves. Don't get over the tips of your skis, as they would say. Don't stare at your feet. I don't know. There's a bunch of crazy terms you can use. OMG is going to be making a major announcement tomorrow and did a mighty good tease at it.
They can't suicide us all.
They can sure try, though. But yeah, they're not going to win. They are not going to succeed. Federal judge orders North Carolina to certify Democrat winner of Supreme Court election. There were so many weird parts in this story. So, the 68-page ruling. District Judge Richard E. Myers II ruled in favor of Riggs, dismissing a request for injunctive relief filed by Judge Jefferson Griffin, a Republican, who trailed the Democrat by 734 votes in November's election. Myers wrote that Griffin cannot change the rules of the game after it had been played. The court cannot countenance that strategy, which implicates the very integrity of the election and offends the law's basic interest in finality. Permitting parties to upend the set rules of an election after the election has taken place can only produce confusion and turmoil, which threatens to undermine public confidence in the federal courts, state agencies, and the elections themselves. You hear what they're saying, I hope. Reading between the lines, we can't turn this over because of the problems it will cause. It will cascade. It will happen everywhere. Myers' ruling comes after Griffin sought more than the 60,000 ballots that had been counted in the final tally on November 5th. He wanted those thrown out, with the Republicans arguing that voters did not provide their state driver's license numbers or Social Security numbers as is required when registering under the 2004 state law. The North Carolina Supreme Court on April 11th rejected Griffin's bid, writing in its ruling that while the election board's failure to ensure voter registration conformed with the law was deeply troubling, the fault for those defects ultimately lay with the board, not the voters. Under this court's long-standing precedent, mistakes made by negligent election officials in registering citizens who are otherwise eligible to vote will not deprive the citizens of their rights to vote or render their vote void after they have been cast. What's very difficult about this, and this is what is bothersome to every single one of us, I think, is for every fake vote that's cast, that undermines a legal vote on one side of the fence or the other. Every single fake vote undermines a legal vote. That's the problem. I get that they don't want to step on anyone's toes. I get they don't want to try to, that this doesn't deprive anyone of voting, but it does, in fact, deprive somebody of their vote. This is a horrible case. This judge sucks balls. Not happy about that at all. Senator Tillis could tank Trump's nominee, Ed Martin. allowing Judge Boasberg to choose the attorney for D.C. Now, Ed Martin's the one that's supposed to take over the Southern District. Schumer doesn't want to give that up. Southern District is like the Vatican vaults of our justice system in this country. It is Fort Knox. They do not want to give this to us. Senator Till is saying he basically could tank the nominee, which would then put it in Judge Boasberg's hand. The guy, by the way, who's being investigated, I think I have a story somewhere, by Jim Jordan. He'll talk about it. He actually, I have like a 4+ minute thing of him talking. He covers this. But Judge Boasberg keeps one, ending up with a bunch of these Trump cases. Oddly, it's not supposed to happen that way. It's supposed to be random. But yet Judge Boasberg keeps getting them. Judge Boasberg is obviously anti-Trump. Proven. And it's literally going to be in his hands to choose who the protector of the vault is. Just everything about this stinks to high heaven. I don't know what's going on with Tillis. Hopefully Tillis pulls his head out of his ass. Don't know what's going to happen here. But yeah, this could be a very interesting set of circumstances. We'll see how it continues to play out. Chinese space program copying Elon Musk's Starlink. This is one thing that kind of hit me with this story. Now, again, they're totally ripping off Elon Musk. I don't think they've been able to infiltrate necessarily. Maybe they have. Maybe they've been able to see some stuff. Maybe who knows? They're copying it probably admirably. But what it really did dawn on me is that China has become the master replicator. China, back in the day, they invented gunpowder. They invented a whole bunch of things. I don't know all the stuff, but they are amazing in their time. They are a renowned society, civilization that has done great things. And what they have become is very sad. It's a shame. China's not apparently capable of manufacturing anything unique anymore. They only can find ways to take an existing product and try to make it cheaper, which they're very good at. So yeah, copying is what China has become exceptional at. Very sad to China. Consuming protein apparently now is a right-wing conspiracy thing to do. Yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know. Why are Americans so obsessed with protein? Blame MAGA. Maybe because it's important, and the type of protein you eat is really crazy because, yeah, soy proteins and stuff like that are not good for dudes. So MAGA, sure, it's our fault. Majority of us, 55%, I think, of MAGA is basically male. Makes sense. A lot of us have learned we don't want to be soy boys. Many of us are trying to take care of ourselves, our testosterone levels. We've actually done a little research. We realize that hormones are super important, right, in our overall health. So again, yes, why are Americans so obsessed with protein? Literally a whole bunch of people going off, and then, yeah, people had fun with this. Why are liberals so anti-protein, right? Why the left brain is not, or is rot summed up. Yeah, exactly. Exposer of donkey fazoo. Media bosses find something that white conservatives like and write a story about it. That is how protein and bowling became racist. So, yes, this is what's happening. I don't know why this brought up this. I had to talk about it. This is my favorite rice cooker. I don't get any money for this. This is just strictly because I freaking love this rice cooker. This is only for people that are serious about making rice. Like if you make rice, 2, 3, 4 times a week or more, this is the Cadillac of rice cookers. Uncle Roger talks about this all the damn time. I bought it because of him. It starts a song when you start it. It plays a song when it ends. It's so cool. And then on top of that, it's one of those things where as long as you put enough water in it, and that's the knuckle rule. For all you guys that don't know this, this is the Asian thing. This is the Asian secret, right? So you dump the rice in the thing in the bottom. This is seriously how easy it is. You dump the rice in the bottom. Hopefully you rinsed it first. You should. Get it in there. Get it flat and smooth. Pour in enough water so it covers up to your knuckle, your first knuckle, right? What you're going to say instantly is, Dan, my knuckle and your knuckle are not the same size. I know, it's a beautiful thing. It doesn't matter. Pour it up to your knuckle and turn it on. It'll make its cool little noise. It'll cook. It's got like sensors in there. I've yet to been able to overwater my rice. I don't try to just soak it full, But I've never ever put too much water in it, especially using that rule. You can put too little water, but I don't because I know the knuckle rule. Makes perfect rice every single time. It's awesome. Again, there's a link below if you guys want to see at least what it looks like. It's not cheap. It's like $150, $160. It's a freaking awesome rice cooker, though. Like I said, protein, and I was like, ooh, need some rice with the protein. kind of went into what I was making for dinner tonight. I told you guys about my Ninja cooker, right? So I'm doing corned beef tonight. Got a corned beef, and I'm like, oh, it sounds so good. So I hit up the girlfriend. I'm like, do you want rice or mashed potatoes and gravy? And she opted for mashed potatoes and gravy, which is freaking awesome. So a good dinner is coming. I'm very excited about the dinner I am going to be preparing. But it did make me think of my Zujiroshi, and I love that thing. Tyson Foods says it's going to eliminate synthetic dyes from food products by May. That just made me realize that processed food might almost become healthy-ish at some point. That's kind of cool. Middle aisles of the grocery store are the worst aisles to shop in. They typically have way too many chemicals. Simple rule to live by. When you look at the ingredients, if there's more than 5 or 7 ingredients, there's too many. And you should find something that's simpler. You should find the basic food products and then mix those and cook those together and make your own food. When you've got a whole bunch of things that you can't even pronounce, it's definitely not good for you. So the fact that Tyson is moving in the right direction is phenomenal. Oddly, I was going to do a joke about this and about how apparently California has banned sausages in girls' sports. Well, sort of. California schools ditched Nevada Athletic Association over ban on trans-identifying males and female sports. See, here's the thing. California wants the sausage in female sports. Nevada doesn't. And so California's mad at that. So again, you guys get a pry bar, go to the border of California, pry us off into the ocean, save yourselves. It'd be the greatest thing you could ever do to yourself. Democrat states are suing Trump administration for blocking wind energy projects. Whole bunch of bullshit money has been flowing into states, especially these blue states, right? All this BS money that's being thrown into people's pockets, being wasted, being spent on God knows what, being spent on other things that it's not actually supposed to be spent on. And Trump's basically ended all this stuff. He's like, well, I'm not giving you any of this money. No, we're not doing it anymore. Done. Sorry. And these states, California included, are screwed. Their entire budgets were based off of these billions of dollars that they're not getting now. The transition's happening. Here's Kathy Hochul talking about how Democrats have been afraid to talk about crime. Kind of funny how they sort of starting to come around because, frankly, one, she's got an election coming up, and two, their stance on crime, on immigration, on prices, on taxes, on everything is horrible. They're getting destroyed in the polls, the real polls, not the fake ones that we see.
Joining us right now is the Democratic governor
I'm not playing all that 8 minutes. I can't stand 3 minutes of this shit. Can't stand 2 minutes of Kathy Hochul. But yeah, she basically says Dems have been afraid to talk about safety. Want you to focus on 2 things. Are they and their families safe? Can you do more to make them feel safer? Whether I'm on the subways, so I put more police officers there, on our streets, putting more money for gun interdiction, which is not helping, by the way, up in our rural communities, making sure that our law enforcement has what they need. You have to feel fundamentally safe, and Democrats have to talk about that. Don't be afraid to talk about fighting crime. Because right now they're pro-criminal. And that is an impossible stance to maintain. Democrats are in a tough place. Gavin Newsom's panicking over Trump's Hollywood tariffs. He's trying to get Trump to be like, hey, can't we work out some sort of tax credit thing instead for them to come back to California? And Trump's like, no, I'm just going to tariff the shit out of them. Suck it, Gavin. You're the reason, and we will get there. But for the most part, Trump blames him. There's this part down here. I'm going to play it here coming up in a second, his actual words. He said Gavin Newsom responded Donald Trump's demand for steep tariffs on movies filmed outside the U.S. with a plea for the president to partner with him instead on a proposed $7.5 billion federal tax credit for Hollywood. The proposed tax incentive would be separate from the California state tax credits Newsom is trying to enact, including the proposal announced in October, expanding the state's film and television tax credit program to $750 million annually. It is currently $330 million annually. And here's really the problem, is California became so weak and taxed so heavily that they literally caused Hollywood to outsource its movies. And this is just, again, California just being greedy. It's kind of like when Rumble was learning the commercial game, which I still think they're not quite dialed in on, but something YouTube got way ahead of. And you learn how many commercials I can literally bombard someone with before they literally will stop watching on my app. And they try to run right up to the edge of that. Same kind of thing. If you abuse it, you will find the breaking point. When you find the breaking point, it's very hard to get people back because they're pissed now. And this is a big part of what's going on in California. Here is Trump talking about what an idiot Gavin Newsom is. I'm adding some words. We'll let Trump speak for himself. Thank you.
The movie tariffs, what they've done is other nations have been stealing the movie-making capabilities from the United States. And I said to a couple of people, what do you think? I've done some very strong research over the last week, and we're making very few movies now. Hollywood is being destroyed. Now, you have an grossly incompetent governor that allowed that to happen, so I'm not just blaming other nations, but other nations, a lot of them, have stolen our movie industry. And I'm saying, if they're not willing to make a movie inside the United States, and we should have a tariff on movies that come in. And not only that, governments are actually giving big money. I mean, they're supporting them financially. So that's sort of a threat to our country in a sense. And it's been a very popular thing. I can tell you one thing, movie makers love it.
I love the way he says that. We need to have tariffs to come in. It sounds like a Christopher Walken almost to me. It's funny how he said that. Anyway, I got problems. Can't help myself. Can't help it, people. Rick J. Caruso posted this. How the head of DWP still has a job is unthinkable. This is here in California. Incompetence at the highest level. Only in LA does failure this big come with job security. 7 months. Empty reservoirs, dry hydrants. The more we learn about the pre-fire failures of our city leaders, the more baffling the total lack of accountability at DWP becomes. DWP didn't plan, they didn't act, and no one has been held accountable. Mayor Bass appointed the head of DWP. It's time she acts and fires her. Leadership means responsibility. We won't see better results until there is change. Yeah, they want to get rid of the other DEI hire that we've probably got, much like the fire chief was as well. New Delta Airbus. There's a jet sale that happened from France to New Delta. And instead of paying tariffs, Delta's like, look, here's the thing, Airbus, we ain't paying tariffs. So if there's no way to get this aircraft to us without charging us an additional 20%, cool. Otherwise, we're not buying it. So what they do, France flew it to Japan first. In flying it to Japan first, it was an international flight. Once it has an international flight, it's now a used jet. And they don't believe the tariffs actually apply to used aircraft. So this is how they're getting around it. Not sure what Airbus is doing with the price because now it's a used jet. I hope they're giving some small discount at least to Delta. Delta, you should insist that you get a small discount on that brand new A350-900 because it's used. It ain't brand new. You didn't get to fly it back, did you? No. Now, again, from France to Japan to what? I mean, if it's going to the West Coast, maybe. I don't know where Delta's hub is. They got a few of them, I assume, but I don't know where I don't usually fly Delta, so I don't really know. A trade deal is coming. China just blinked at this whole trade thing. I think what was the one thing I really wanted to point out was this massive spike they had in their stock market. Their stock market has gotten beat up on. Their jobless rates have increased. They are in a tough place right now, and they don't want to admit it either. That's the fun part about all this. The Indonesian-U.S. trade deal is in the works. India is offering a 0-for-0 tariff on steel, auto parts, and probably some other stuff. So again, Modi's trying to work with us. Obviously some weapons stuff is happening, but they're also buying stuff from France, buying stuff from, who was the other one? They were, I forgot who they were buying, Russia. They were buying some stuff from Russia too. So yeah, some handheld anti-aircraft weapons. So they got some very interesting stuff and they're making friends with very interesting people. Whatever the case is, the world is changing, the transition is occurring, and I think people want to make sure they can protect themselves the best they can. Now, I think if the China news actually had happened, I think the stock market would have responded rather well. I think the 10-year Treasury supposedly did reasonably well at one point. That surprised some people. Gold's up a bunch. It's back to 34, 31. Someone that is usually wrong about the prices of gold and always celebrating prices that aren't correct, was like, oh my God, this is the highest gold's ever been. It's like, dude, it hit $34.99 technically. Some people said it hit $3,500, so no, it's not. You should stop sucking at getting information. I wish people were better. Oil's gone up a bunch. It's almost back to 60, which is good for nations that are trading oil. The United States kind of being one of them. That's one of the things, too. When the oil price comes down, it actually kind of hurts us a little bit because it's expensive to pull oil out of the ground. And when it becomes too expensive, it doesn't make sense to do it, right? So, again, a lot of things are in the works, are happening. Scott Pacent says, we're never going to default. This is scary to hear, but, well, it has to be said to give confidence to everything.
The United States government will never default. That we will raise the debt ceiling, and Treasury will not use any gimmicks. We will make sure that the debt ceiling is raised.
Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Yeah, gimmicks. Watch me pull some more Federal Reserve notes out of my hat. Look, I don't trust the system. You guys know this. I don't make a secret about it. I don't even try to hide it. Shoot, I think I wear it on my sleeve. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of their system. This is many of the reasons why I don't think it's a good place to be. I think the transition's occurring. This is about protecting wealth, protecting it. Gold's doing amazing. Silver is way undervalued and doing rather well also. Up to 10% free silver of the face value of your 401k or IRA. Transfer out tax-free, penalty-free. Let my good friends at Goldco help you do this. There's a lot of moving parts to making this happen, by the way. You got to get the money out of the system that you've got it in. You've got to put it into some sort of holding account. Then you've got to actually procure precious metals because you're getting physical metals. Those need to be then placed into a trust. And all of that has to be done properly, all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. And they do an amazing job, and they have the best customer service that you'll ever experience. I love Goldco. Incredible company. Go to DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Put your 4 data points in, get the ball rolling. You're going to find out all the different ways that you can actually protect yourself, and probably going to get this half-ounce Ronald Reagan coin. When you put all your data points in and hit the button, and a little thing's going to pop up and say, call us within 20 minutes. And it's just like, I don't know, balloons are going to fall on your house, man. All sorts of great stuff. You get the coin. You're going to get some other cool free stuff. Trump book, your protection kit. You're going to get up to 10% free silver. Like, just a lot of good things start happening. So make that 4 data point thing happen. Make sure you got a little bit of room in your schedule to at least call and talk to them. If you don't have all your things pulled together, just tell them that. But say, hey, this is what I know I got. This is what's up. And they can get the ball rolling. That's an important part. Go to DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. We all know they want to. Here's a pretty good little Donald Trump video. Promises made, promises kept. I thought this was well done. Trump truthed this out.
He's going to do what he promised to do on the campaign trail.
He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle.
47 means business.
He's a man of his word.
My administration has launched the most sweeping border and immigration crackdown in American history. We will make America wealthy again.
The White House is holding all the cards.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Our country will be woke no longer.
President Trump's been clear. We are turning the page on DEI.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government. I'm going to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states.
He is gutting liberal Washington, D.C. in a way that they say could be permanent.
We're going to also slash something else, the waste in our bloated federal bureaucracy. And to that end, I have created the brand new Department of Government Efficiency.
Doge savings, $162 billion.
We will strengthen and modernize our military.
The U.S. military is on a recruiting comeback. The Navy says it's on track for its best year since 2002.
Over 50,000 recruits have raised their right hand to join the Army so far this fiscal year.
We will keep men out of women's sports.
From now on, women's sports will be only for women.
I will terminate Lion Kamala's electric vehicle mandate and end immediately the Green New scam.
He pulled the plug on Joe Biden's failed energy policy.
Biden-era regulations be gone. Leases will now be expedited and permits will be streamlined from here on out.
This is what it looks like when you do have a president who, number one, keeps his promises, is willing to fight.
You can't say that he's coming and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
Donald Trump is crushing his to-do list.
Damn straight. Love it. Love it, baby. It's freaking awesome. Newark air traffic controllers lost contact with planes, triggering widespread flight delays and cancellations. This is where the 10% of the airline travel was cut back. I think it was United. Remember, they were talking about the FAA and almost trying to make it sound like it was the FAA's fault. But the reality of it is no, the system there is just stupid old, so out of date, and in bad shape. And so what happened is the primary system went down. The backup system took 30 seconds to come up. And in that time, they were not able to contact, the tower was not able to contact with planes. Now, planes still have radar. Planes still have abilities to communicate with each other. There's open channels and stuff like that. So it's not like, oh, no, and people were jumping out of airplanes in the middle of the sky because that was safer than trying to land without talking to, the tower. No, not quite that bad. But what we found out from Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, said the primary communication line went down, the backup line didn't fire, and so for 30 seconds we lost contact with air traffic. Said, now were planes going to crash? No, they have communication devices, but it's a sign that we have a frail system in place and it has to be fixed. So again, I don't know if that's part of what they're trying to do is just demonstrate how crappy our current systems are. They're doing a damn good job at it, frankly. It's the best I can tell. Trump administration is going to pay for migrant flights of illegals who self-deport. I talked about this yesterday. I said that would be awesome if you did this, Trump. I'm sure it's just perfect timing on my part. That's way more likely than anybody's listening to be, but yeah, I'm just saying. Ow, it hurts so bad, Okay, I'll stop. $1,000 and a flight home. Not a bad deal. Try that again. Reminds me of that video yesterday of the gay, all the different, that was so funny. I'm sorry. I watched that like 3 more times. That cracks me up. I think my favorite's the last one she says because she says it so differently. Well done. Just beautiful. Anyway, pro-migration reporter. Yeah, I did it right that time. They're loudly warning illegal migrants in D.C. that immigration and customs enforcement agents will be checking their workplaces on Tuesday and Wednesday. There was a media report that came out that basically said ICE is coming in. Now, how the information leaked from the media is something that obviously needs to be figured out, but these types of things continue to happen. It's not good, and the fact that the media is releasing it too is also not good. But we understand they're playing to the cartels, they're playing to the criminal networks, the criminal underworld, the criminals. That's who they're fond of. The modified Signal app used by Mike Waltz was reportedly hacked. Now, this had nothing to do with Hegseth or any of them. Some Border Patrol people were using these apps. It also wasn't Signal. It was a couple different forms of it. Telemessage lets users, let's see, it's up here, it's a little better. A hacker has obtained direct message and contact information from Telemessage, the Israeli software company that offers modified versions of Signal, WhatsApp. So it's modified version of Signal. It's not Signal. They're offering WhatsApp, Telegram, and other apps to the U.S. government. It's Israeli, so anything that we trust with the Israelis is stupid, right? Epstein, Mossad was probably behind that. Hugh Hefner, Mossad was probably behind that. Again, Mossad was probably behind JFK. A lot of places that Mossad has been involved. Deep State is an interesting group of people. Again, it's not Israelis that we have a problem with. It's not Jewish people we have a problem with. It is the Deep State we have a problem with. I'm going to constantly keep reminding that because I keep hearing people saying, no, the Iranian people, or we're going to go to war with Iran. No, we don't. No, we do not. Iranian people are freaking awesome. Chinese people are freaking awesome. North Korean people are freaking awesome. Russian people, freaking awesome. Ukrainians are even freaking awesome. We don't go to war with those countries. We go to war with the Deep State. Hopefully, is what Israel and the United States is doing out there. We've got some stories to share, but some major attacks happened. We hit an airport. They hit our airport, the Ben Gurion airport recently, right? I think it was yesterday or over the weekend. Well, their airport got attacked. It got beat up a lot worse than our airports. But, yeah, needless to say, a lot of things are going on right now, to say the least. Here's Tom Homan talking with, what's her face? And they're talking about Governor Tony Evers. And I love it because Evers is like, yeah, we can come arrest me. And Homan's just like, that's not even what I said, douchehole. Okay, I'm adding some words.
So you can support.
We watched in Wisconsin as this judge helped someone to help them get out of the courthouse because she heard that ICE was in the courthouse, even though she was about to conduct a trial of this individual who was accused of assault, and the people who accused him of it were sitting in the front row. So the Wisconsin governor, Tony Evers, is not happy about this, and he named you in this. Watch this.
Tom Homan was asked about me in this guidance after he apparently threatened to arrest elected officials across the country. He said, wait till you see what's coming. As disgusted as I am about the continued actions of the Trump administration, I'm not afraid. I've never once been discouraged from doing the right thing, and I will not start today.
What's your response to that, Tom?
Well, there's no threat. What I simply said is wait what happens. I've said from day one, you can support sanctuary cities. You cannot support ICE if that's what you choose to do. But if you cross that line on impeding our law enforcement efforts or knowingly harboring and concealing an illegal alien from ICE, those are felonies, and we will seek prosecution. So, hopefully you don't cross that line, but it's not a threat. I've been saying this since day one. There are laws on the books against impediment and knowing, harboring, and concealing an alien, and we're going to seek those out and do that. I've arrested U.S. citizens for harboring and concealing aliens in their workplace or their home when I was an agent. Why should be a free-for-all for elected officials? So don't cross that line. I said from day one. We showed the judge. The judge wanted to play that game. We're prosecuting her. So anybody can be prosecuted for violating laws, including him. But it's not a threat. I'm just taking what the law is and what our 10 is going to be.
Yeah.
Not a threat, baby. It's a promise. That's what I'm telling you. It's a promise. It truly is that big. Step back. I'm kidding, of course. Donald Trump truth this out. Radical left Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser ignores illegal committing violent crimes like rape and murder in his state and instead jailed Tina Peters, a 69-year-old Gold Star mother who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. Tina is an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished in the form of cruel and unusual punishment. This is a communist persecution by the radical left Democrats to cover up their election crimes and misdeeds in 2020. The same Democrat Party that flies to El Salvador to try to free an MS-13 terrorist is cruelly imprisoning, perhaps for life, a grandmother whose brave and heroic son gave his life for America. Colorado must end this unjust incarceration of an innocent American. I am hereby directing the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to help secure the release of this hostage being held in a Colorado prison by the Democrats for political reasons. Free Tina Peters now. Woot, woot. And free the sisters, too, when you got a chance. Just because. FBI Director Kash Patel shared this deeply disturbing article stating, "Those who come after America's children will face injustice. We will be relentless in pursuing them." FBI officials say they are growing increasingly concerned about a loose network of violent predators who befriended teenagers through popular online platforms and then coerced them into escalating sexual and violent behavior, pushing victims to create graphic pornography, harm family pets, cut themselves with sharp objects, or even die by suicide. The online predators, part of the network known as 764, demands victims send them photos and videos of it all, so the shocking content can be shared with fellow 764 followers or used to extort victims for more. Some of the predators even host watch parties for others to watch them torment victims live online, according to authorities. Reminds me of the Face story with Hillary, if you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, nah. We see a lot of bad things, but this is one of the most disturbing things we're seeing, said FBI Director David Scott, the head of the FBI's counterterrorism division, which it's now leading many of these U.S. government investigations tied to 764. The FBI has more than 250 such investigations currently underway, with every single one of its 55 field offices across the country handling a 764-related case, Scott told ABC. He said the FBI has seen victims as young as 9, and federal authorities have indicated there could be thousands of victims around the world. Last year, in classic New England town of Vernon, Connecticut, not even close, local police arrested the girl, a former honor roll student, for conspiring with a 764 devotee overseas to direct bomb threats at her own community. When police searched her devices, they found pornographic photos of her, photos depicting self-mutilation, and photos of her paying homage to 764. As Scott described it, one of the main goals of 764 and similar networks is to sow chaos and bring down society. That's why the FBI's Counterterrorism Division and the Justice Department's National Security Division are now looking at 764 and its offshoots as a potential form of domestic terrorism, even coining a new term to characterize the most heinous actors, nihilistic, violent extremist. It's pretty jacked up, and yeah, 764 on the Barbie head and just a bunch of crazy stuff. Not cool at all. Pam Bondi announces the largest fentanyl seizure in U.S. history.
Mass destruction, fentanyl. And when we catch you, like all of these individuals, if convicted, we will put you behind bars, there will be no negotiating, and we will lock you up for as long as humanly possible. We will not negotiate with those who are killing our family members, including brothers, sisters, daughters, sons, parents, friends. Everyone in this room, I guarantee you, knows someone who has been afflicted with drug addiction, and many who have known someone who has lost a loved one because of this trash on our streets. The precursors are made in China. It was sent to Mexico and came right in our country. And again, 6 of these individuals were here illegally. That won't shock you. And we're running a massive, massive drug operation. This kind of success doesn't happen without extraordinary leadership. And I want to personally thank my friend, DEA Principal Deputy Administrator Rob Murphy, DEA El Paso Division Chief Agent in Charge Omar Ariella. I'm killing your name, Omar. Omar, okay. And U.S. Attorney, where's Ryan? Ryan Ellison. I also want to thank again the brave men and women of law enforcement. Last week I joined them at a DEA laboratory, and we went there, and it was truly remarkable what we saw, how quickly these cartels can manufacture and make fentanyl powder and put it into these pills. But people need to know, parents need to know, kids need to know, this fentanyl, this bus, these 3 million pills for oxycodone, they put this in Xanax, they put this in Adderall, they put this in Molly, the date drug or the party drug, something called Molly. They put it in cocaine, and they put it in marijuana. And it is to get you so highly addicted that you can't get off it. 75,000 Americans are dying each year because of fentanyl. 75,000. And that's why this is so important today. You've got to spread the word. If you know anyone who is taking any recreational drugs, they need to be extremely careful, because there is a very high likelihood it could be laced with fentanyl. And that's one of the reasons 75,000 Americans are losing their lives each day. It is the #1 cause of death for individuals between 18 and 34 in our country.
Such a deep state move, too. That's so, I mean, just getting people addicted and stuff. And people say, it's China. No, maybe the CCP, but it's the deep state. I mean, I know people hate that, too. I saw, I almost felt bad, which is weird, because the dude's like a rock star compared to me. But X22, someone was beating up on one of his posts one time because he was talking about the deep state. And they're like, who's this deep state, Dave? You've known about him forever. I'm like, come on, man. Like, I don't know what else you call them. You call them they. We've called them they most of my life. Who's they? I don't know. Pretty sure we have an idea who these individuals are, at least as far as the little areas they seem to come from. So that's, in my mind, the deep state. I mean, are there specifics we could name? We could try, but I think the real people of power are above, public scrutiny. Soros is even a smaller player, assuming he's actually still alive. Sanctuary state governors, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and New York Governor Kathy Hochul are going to be testifying on June 12th in front of Congress about their sanctuary practices. U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, he's ordering senior Pentagon leadership to cut the number of four-star generals and admirals by at least 20% across the military. I can't wait, until he does this. That'll be awesome because they're going to get rid of all the douchey ones, right? Or at least 20% of the douchey ones. 2, we know immediately after these douchey ones get fired or decide to retire, they're going to speak poorly of Trump. Former military four-star general says Trump's blah-blah-blah. Yeah. They saw intelligence that said, and again, it's a whole bunch of stupid shit's going to come out. But these are well, I'm going to call them R-tards. I was going to say shit-tard, but I didn't want to cuss. That's how you get around that. Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She says she's not going to be seeking this top Democratic spot on the House Oversight Committee. What's interesting, I guess, to me, I don't care what she does, and I really ignore a lot of stories. Some of you guys be like, Dan, I kind of am curious. Sorry, I don't care what she does. But she says it's actually clear to me that the underlying dynamics in the caucus have not shifted with respect to seniority as much as I think would be necessary. And so I believe I'll be staying put at Energy and Commerce, meaning she has no chance to fight the system. The older entrenched bureaucrats are impossible to win against. Again, it was one of the reasons why taking McCarthy out was tough. And I think Johnson, that's why I think he's had the ability and why I've been a little reticent to let him go easily. Because it's that BS that makes it extraordinarily difficult. You could put in like a retard like Thomas Massey, right? I'm not saying he's actually retarded. He just acts like it all the time. I don't know. He might not be. Don't know. But it's hard to get that caucus. And you can be someone that's very new to Congress and think it's just, all you got to do is this. No. It's, I wish, that's what it should be. You're 100% right. But that's definitely not how it is. So we'll see. But it's kind of, to me, an admittance from their side of the fence, especially easily their most popular person. Everybody pretty much likes Ocasio-Cortez. She's good looking, well-spoken, bartender, right? She can make a mean drink. Gotta love that. But she's not the older one. You got to pay your dues. You don't get to skip ahead in line, which is how a lot of people feel when they're immigrants here, by the way. You don't get to skip ahead. That's not how it works. America First Legal suing the Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. Kind of an interesting little thing. This legal action's accusing the men of operating beyond their scope of resolving cases or controversies, citing their cooperation with Congress in helping them investigate Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, and a willingness to create or adopt a code of ethics for the court. Under our constitutional tradition, accommodations with Congress are the province of the executive branch, the foundation said. The Judicial Conference and the Administrative Office are therefore executive agencies, which would be overseen by the president and not the courts. Now, what's interesting is if this does, in fact, make it to the Supreme Court, John Roberts, I meant to highlight his name, this guy, booyah, he has to recuse himself. Has to. So I don't know. This is up there with, I don't know, the Brunson case, kind of. Maybe this is, to me, a lot easier to see happening before the Brunson case. Brunson case is just like, yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of crap we've got to get lined up and ready before that's even going to be possible to try to push that through. That thing is going to be, man, that's like, yeah. Yeah, it's sad. Here's the analogy that's popped into my head, and it's not a good one. So put on your veterinarian hat, if you will. But you know, if you're about to check the health of a critter, I'm not a veterinarian. I just know this particular piece of it. You put on this super long glove, right? You guys should know what I'm sort of talking about. A lot of you do, right? And the reason you put on that super long glove is because whatever is wrong with the animal is probably deep inside its butt. And that's where you're about to go exploring. I kind of feel like that's what the Brunson case is. Like, we got to at least get the glove on because, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's what popped into my head. Someone's having some fun at my expense. AP News posted this, so, believe half of it. Apparently, a judge orders Trump administration to admit roughly 12,000 refugees. They're not going to do this. They can't force us to admit refugees. That's not possible. Again, this is just another example of a judge that's way overstepping their bounds. One of them that I'm quite sure is not going to, that the Trump administration is not going to do, and upon appeal, they're going to continue to not do it. And they're going to be like, because irreparable harm happens if they let them in, and there's no way the appeals court would disagree with that. So, again, this is a judge way overstepping their bounds, way overstepping. They should have said, you can hold them for now, but to force them to take them in when they're not even here yet, no. Nope. Not going to happen. Here is one of our favorites, Letitch James. And this is Jim Jordan talking about this and how this chick has stepped over her boundaries. Jim and whoever it is from Fox, Rob Schmidt, from whatever show he's on. They talk a bunch about a few things and pretty good stuff. The audio sucks, but I'll try my best to fix that post-production. All said, listen to this. It's pretty good.
We've got Congressman Jim Jordan, who's the head of the Judiciary Committee, and I know you guys have been looking, a lot at these activist judges. Talk about the problem that it is and what we're doing about it.
Well, the fundamental problem is exactly what the president said. He put his name on the ballot. Yeah. He got elected by we the people. He gets to make the calls as the guy who runs the executive branch, not some unelected federal district judge who somehow thinks they're equivalent to the president of the United States. So that's, the left always wants the unelected to make the calls, the Faucis and the Boasbergs. They want them making the judgments and the decisions, not the people who put their name on the ballot, but that's not how our system works. So we've actually sent a letter to the court. We're kind of curious about how Judge Boasberg gets all these cases. He was the guy who was on the FISA court when they spied on President Trump's campaign. He was the judge that oversaw Kevin Kleinsmith's case, the guy who altered a document, lied to the court, the FISA court. He oversaw that case. He was the judge who said, turn the plane around, bring the bad guy back who's a member of a gang, who did terrible things, who's here illegally. And he's also now the judge who gets randomly assigned the Signalgate case against Secretary Hegseth. So we wrote to court and said, how does it all work out? How does this random assignment process work? Because we're concerned about the same thing President Trump was talking about.
There's been concerns about, a judiciary that can, weaponize itself. This is not a new problem in this country. This is not a new fear that judges could, exaggerate their power, however you want to say it. I can't get the wording right, but this is not a new. And I guess I wonder when does the Supreme Court jump in and do something about these district judges that think that they have power over the whole country?
No, great question. I do think some of these cases are going to get to the Supreme Court in a pretty quick manner, pretty quick time frame. And Justice Roberts put out a statement a month or so ago about the proper course of action is if you don't like the decision of a district judge, is to use the appellate courts, and I get all that, but I think his statement just sort of underscores the focus that's now on this issue. And we've taken legislative action in the House. We passed a legislation that said one of these federal district judges who issues an injunction, the injunction shouldn't apply nationwide. It should apply to the parties in that case, in that jurisdiction, not to the entire country. And even Justice Kagan had talked about this phenomena a few years back. So we think there's a chance that bill hopefully can get through the Senate and get signed by President Trump and scale some of this back, some of the power that these district judges have currently.
Yeah, and hopefully relatively soon, because as we know, it's not a lot of time for them to do some of this important work, and they're getting kind of stalled out. And I think that's exactly the point of why they're doing all this. I want to ask you about this. Tish James, the New York Attorney General, the one that famously went after Trump over nothing, built her whole campaign on getting Trump, and then throws a nonsense case to try and derail him. Well, she's facing a lot of some allegations as well. The irony of that not lost on anybody, but she has a new lawsuit against the president. Take a listen.
Today, I am announcing a lawsuit to stop the most sweeping and unlawful assault on public health in our nation's history. This administration is taking a wrecking ball to the Department of Health and Human Services. In just a few short weeks, this administration has unraveled decades of progress.
What's your reaction to Tish James at this point?
I don't know that anybody takes her serious. We know how ridiculous the case was that she brought against President Trump. And of course, the irony with her is now it's being alleged that she did some of the same kind of things that she falsely accused President Trump of doing. It turns out, Rob, if you're the Attorney General of New York, you can't have your principal residence in Virginia. So there's three now. I haven't seen it, so I don't know for sure. But it's been said that alleged that she has said things on various forums trying to get better terms, better rate on loans regarding 3 different properties. So at one it's alleged that she said her dad was actually her husband. Another one, she claimed her principal residence was in Virginia versus New York, where she's the Attorney General.
Yeah.
So this lady has got all kinds of concerns that have been raised. We'll see how it all shakes out. But now she's bringing another action against President Trump. Just, again, shows you, I think, how crazy the left has become in what they try to do.
Clinging to the only thing she's got, which is attacking Trump. It's the only reason she's got power. It's the only reason anybody knows her name. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you.
Again, lot is happening, lots in the works. I think a lot of it's timing, too. I mean, again, so many things. So many people are so dirty and already got their arms shoved in, even though it's not quite how I meant the analogy initially. Supreme Court said Tuesday that the Trump administration can begin immediately enforcing a ban on transgender service members. The decision is a major victory for President Donald Trump in his effort to give the high court to unlock various parts of the second-term agenda. The 3 liberal members publicly dissented. Whatever. So 6-3. Not a bad deal. Here's some great Trump stuff, too. President Trump says he's got some very, very big announcement. I don't think I've actually listened to this yet, so hopefully it's not disappointing. Shouldn't be, but I don't think we're getting the big announcement yet. So just relax on that part. Spoiler alert.
We'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets, and I won't tell you on what. But it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that up. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here.
So big tease, big giant tease. Sure. The reporter asked President Trump how he decided to reopen Alcatraz. I just think this is hilarious. I feel like whether he does this or not is kind of irrelevant. Sometimes he floats these things out that are legitimate ideas and probably going to happen in the big picture, but are just cause the deep state to go spinning off on their news cycles, or at least the news. I wouldn't even say they're necessarily deep state. They're almost too stupid, it seems, at times. But this is, I don't know, it's Trump talking about it.
How did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz, how will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, and just represented something strong having to do with law and order. We need law and order in this country. And so we're going to look at it. Some of the people up here are going to be working very hard on that. And we had a little conversation. I think it's going to be very interesting. We'll see if we can bring it back in large form, add a lot. But I think it represents something. Right now it's a big hulk that's sitting there rusting and rotting. very. You look at it, it's sort of you saw that picture that was put out. It's sort of amazing, but it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point. Okay, are you?
Yeah, it's funny. I just noticed a funny speech pattern that was similar to one of the MAGA people out there. I don't normally give any credit to this individual at all, and I'm not about to, but it's just funny. I just like, oh, wow, that sounds just like that individual. It cracks me up. President Donald Trump's administration released a budget plan on Friday that proposed drastic cuts across the federal government, including slashing the Department of Housing and Urban Development's discretionary funding by more than 40%. This one's going to bum my girlfriend out. I think she lives in a rent-controlled place, or at least gets rent assistance, but she's not like special. I mean, she was raising 3 kids, but all of her kids are out of college. I mean, they're in college or working now, and she's still getting that beautiful thing. So this is going to affect people like her. It's going to affect, I think if you're getting assistance, it'll let you get assistance for about 2 years, and then you need to kind of get your shit together, basically, as they would say. So yeah, they're talking about making some changes that are definitely going to piss some people off. Ultimately, it's not just going to be Democrats. There's a lot of people that are on the harder side. But I think with the things that Trump is doing with the economy and what he's planning on doing with ramping up jobs here. Vamping, I guess, kind of works too, but whatever. He wants to bring more jobs into this country, and that's happening with the infrastructure, with the influx of work, factories, all this kind of stuff. A lot of us are going to be working at these places, and it's going to be fantastic. We'll get to know what it feels like to be a Uyghur. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's too soon. I know. Too soon. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says what we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. I'll let him say all this good stuff. I don't need to say it for him.
Well, what we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. We're streamlining an agency that grew by 38% in the 4 years that President Biden was in the White House, and we're dialing it back to the pre-Biden administration. And the agency was not doing what it was supposed to be doing, which is preventing disease, chronic disease, particularly in Americans. Americans during that period got sicker and sicker and sicker. Oh, and the agency is bloated. When I got there, there were 100 communications departments. There were 40 procurement departments. 40 IT departments, 40 HR departments. And we streamlined the agency. We got rid of the redundancy, and that's how we save that money. We're not getting rid of any critical research, and we're not getting rid of any of the programs that are critical to Americans' health care.
Now, again, everybody on the left is like, oh, they're getting rid of the feeding program. They're getting rid of the thing that gives people food. They're getting rid of all the shit that we don't need, the bloat, the rot. We're keeping the stuff that actually freaking matters. And just honestly, in my opinion, I think it's hilarious, the fact that people on the left are like, yeah, Trump's totally trying to do that. It's like, really? Really? You actually think for a second that's, I mean, I get you hate him so much, but at some point you've got to look at his actions and be like, God, it doesn't seem like he's done any of that stuff. At some point, I don't know. Maybe I need to switch to a higher fiber diet. That might be possible. I only have 1 cup of coffee. I don't think I need to switch to decaf yet. That would be mean. Come on now. Don't take that from me. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order barring current and future federal funding for gain-of-function research in countries like China and Iran, which kind of makes sense. And basically, I think any place that's got loosey-goosey oversight when it comes to the safety and obviously protection of the information, should we say. So yeah, China and Iran. Funny, though, that you don't see Russia or Ukraine on that list, or North Korea, for that matter, right? Not that we'd potentially put something in North Korea, and I don't know if Russia would want us to be doing some sort of crazy biological shit inside their borders. Can't see that happening either. But still, interesting. This bothers me tremendously for so many reasons. Just grew up loving Girl Scout cookies. And I'm going to say there's a bunch of you guys right now that have Girl Scouts either somehow under you or whatever. And this is going to be hard for you to accept. Or you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't know what we do. Here's what you do. You make noise. You get the cookie companies to change this. You go HHS on them. You go Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on them. You say, you get this shit out of our cookies, or we're not selling your cookies anymore. That's what the grandmas and moms out there, you guys need to do. You need to. Because you eat this shit, I eat this shit. I walk by those little girls that are like pimping it out and they're like 6 years old and where you're like, fuck no, I ain't buying none of your stupid ass cookies, bitch. And then walk out. No, you can't say that shit to a little 6-year-old. You'll ruin them for life. So I don't. All right, here's $5. What? They're fucking $7? Inflation's been strange how it's played out, by the way. Whatever, they're not healthy. It's the important part. Really not healthy.
Revenue did not, like they've done studies on Girl Scout cookies where they break them down and find out what's in them. Oh, holy shit. They're fucking toxic as fuck. Thin Mints being the worst offenders. 5 flavors of Girl Scout cookies contained, back up, contained levels of glyphosate and heavy metals above EPA water safety limits. New investigation found 100% of tested Girl Scout cookies contained glyphosate, 100%. Controversial herbicide and Roundup, 88% contained toxic metals like arsenic, lead, and mercury. Key finding, Thin Mints had the highest glyphosate levels at 111.07 ppb, 334 times what experts say is harmful. Peanut butter patties had the highest heavy metal contamination, with lead reaching 42.5 ppb and aluminum at 27,500 ppb. 76% of cookies tested exceeded cadmium safety limits, and 96 contained lead.
That's wild.
Girl Scout USA, which sells 200 million boxes per year, $800 million in revenue, did not respond to researchers before publication. I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder why they wouldn't chime in.
And by the way, ppb is parts per billion. Parts per billion. Which means, why am I making a big deal? 347 parts per billion. Instead of parts per million, which is usually what we hear, they had to extend it even further because it's so bad for you that even the smallest trace amounts are toxic. Yeah. By the way, we're going to do a Root Brands commercial here in a second. If you get that dip stuff, the drip, the clean slate, that gets the heavy metals out too. Yeah, the cookies, man. You fucked with the cookies. You didn't have to. Did not have to. You didn't have to fuck with the cookies. Sculpt is actually, so here's the thing. I finally got a good test on this. I was starving, and I was doing one of these, like, I don't want to drink today moments. I don't know why I have these moments every once in a while, mostly just because I think I'd like to lose a couple pounds sort of quickly. So I was drinking a shit ton of water, and it was helping with the hunger. I'm like, I'm a little hungry, but, the water helps. It just does, and I don't mind drinking it. It kind of actually works. I mean, it's really weird. When I decide I don't want to drink, I just start drinking a bunch of water, and I usually find myself being reasonably content. Like, it's just, for me, it's more of a habit of the hand mouth, and I can replace it with water, and it seems to work. But Sculpt, I was actually a little hungry, and I was like, let's see if this thing works at all. And it kind of did, actually. I had never really noticed it. I only took one. I never tried to get crazy and take extras or anything. It says you're supposed to take one twice a day, so I do that. I don't know. It actually kind of worked. It did help with my appetite. Normally I'm doing too many things to really be able to tell. I literally, one day, I didn't have any food in me at all, and it was just, drinking water, and it for sure demonstrated. So Sculpt is pretty surprisingly cool. Here's that clean slate stuff I was talking about. 5 drops on your tongue twice a day, boom, all sorts of stuff getting cleaned out of your system. And I'm going to say, you're going to know, kind of similar to like if you ate a bunch of vitamins recently, like, and then, or asparagus, and you go pee, and you're like, oh my God, right? That's how you know clean slate's working, because it will do that. Give Me Back My Youth. They've got a bunch of stuff. The Relive Greens, Give Me Back My Youth. They've got like you do smoothies on a regular basis. There's a few of these things that I highly recommend. Give Me Back My Youth is collagen and colostrum. It's just an incredible mixture of some of the best things you can possibly do for skin, joints, hair, bones, all that stuff. It is colostrum especially. Having that added into it makes that extraordinarily helpful. I went to the point of even trying to be able to make my own pills of this stuff. I hate smoothies. I don't know what my problem is, guys. There's just times in my life where I'm like, why do you suck so much, Dan? And I'm like, I don't know. It sucks being me sometimes. I'd like to be able to make smoothies because there's so much stuff that I've got currently that I know I'd enjoy. If you like smoothies or blending it in something or shaking it, and just if you've got a habit that allows for that, geez, this products are the best for you. Give me Relive Greens. Give me back my youth. We'll find a couple others probably. Crush, that was the one I wanted because I bought that. I was so bummed. I was hoping there was pills in there. So hoping there was pills. And it was powder. These guys are like if you do blending smoothies in any sort of way, shape, or form, they've got some of the best ingredients that you're ever going to get. Go to therootbrands.com. The R-O-O-T brands.com. Therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. You do that import. That's important. If not, just put me as a sponsor when you sign up if you haven't already. If you've already got an account, it won't matter. But therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Just amazing products that will help you be healthier. Zero N's also one I really, really, really like. Use it a lot, actually. I've been really enjoying back on it. Doing my nitric oxide still, too. It's a different kind of thing, but doing both of them, oh, my God. Like, I'm kind of ridiculous, and it's been helping. I started my work week earlier now. I'm actually stressing less because I'm getting stuff done earlier. The extra live show, the Thursday show, that kind of altered the whole matrix in my, suddenly 14 black cats just walked by. I was like, shit. So being a big part of it. And having the extra energy to kind of work through it has definitely been helpful. TheRootBrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Zero N, powerful products. Again, just a great story with what they do, what they're trying to do. And they've got a lot of products. They've got products for skin, really good ones for that matter, like facelift they call it. Here's the Relive Greens, Give Me Back My Youth, Crush. These three are like grind them up. They're already ground up, I should say. Throw them in a smoothie. You just got the healthiest day right here. Boom. These three things, scoop of each every day. Oh, man. I'm jealous is what I'll be. I'll be jealous. I'll be jelly. This is incredible stuff. Sculpt's what I was talking about earlier for the weight loss. Very good. Clean slates, powerful stuff. Restore is really good for bone health, supporting healthy gut biome or a butt biome. Too probably. Healthy blood pressure as well. A lot of good stuff coming from it. Go to therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Therootbrands.com/Dan Radio Style. Again, healthy choices. I'm really fond of these types of things. This was Tyler Durden, Zero Hedge. Good job, brother, by the way. And for some reason you ever end up hearing about this. You got to ask a bitch and ass question to Trump. And, I'm going to be honest. I'm proud of him.
First, I just want to thank you for letting us in here. I'm with Zero Hedge in the last administration.
And
us on social media, so we're really grateful to be in the White House. And this is not exactly sports related, but I've been dying to ask you this question for a long time, which is that 2.5 years ago, the Nord Stream pipeline blew up.
Yeah.
And despite what people like John Brennan and all the hawks said, you were one person who said Russia probably did not blow up its own pipeline.
Yeah, if you can believe, they said Russia blew it up, yeah.
And so I'm wondering now that you're president, if you would consider launching a formal investigation into what happened there and who actually did blow it up.
Well, probably if I asked certain people, I'd be able to tell you without having to waste a lot of money on an investigation. But I think a lot of people know who blew it up. But I was the one that blew it up originally because I wouldn't let it be built. And then when Biden got in, he allowed it to be built.
Yeah, they know who blew it up. They know who blew it up. Ukraine probably, or deep state, whatever. Right? Like, again, I don't want to blame the country. But it's for the war. It was for the war effort was what they were trying to do. The deep state is who we are at war with. We cannot lose sight of that. It is not a country. It's not a group of people. There is not any sort of cohesive word that we have in the English language that properly documents this other than the deep state or they. But even that's been borrowed by these pronoun jumpers. The deep state is the enemy. Period. They exist within every single subsector of our life. Please remember that. Please speak that way, if you can, whatever's a comfortable form of the word. But when we speak against groups and we don't mean it that way, we're not helping the big picture, right? You get that. We're telling groups of people we've got a problem with you. No, we don't. We got a problem with your dickhole Ayatollah or whoever, Zelensky or I don't think it's she. I think it's the CCP. I think she's actually a good guy. I don't think Kim Jong-un's necessarily a bad dude, but I don't exactly know how that North Korean shit works at all, man. They barely have power, man. Fuck that place. I don't even know. So we've got to keep that in mind. We're going through a really interesting time in history, and we're making a difference. State government bans populist politicians from overseas trips. This goes back to the German people in the AfD party. Literally, they're not allowed to travel overseas now, the AfD party members. This is what the left is doing. German parliament backs Merz as chancellor in second vote. Shock failure in first attempt. There's a lot of questions what's going to happen with this whole vote thing. And it's weird, by the way. They were supposed to come back later today, which at this point it's already happened. I don't know if it's updated in here. I doubt it. And I don't really care that much. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But yeah, 316 votes he needed. He didn't get them. Then suddenly he came back. He had 15 extra votes. He's like, oh, I got this. And they're like, well, we still got this other vote you got to get through. And he's like, nah, that was going to happen today. So, frick. We got England, Germany, Canada, France. Like, they are not letting go. Even EU. EU didn't switch over when they revoted in their new chancellor person. Wasn't it the same van der Hellen or whatever the hell Hitler Jr. was there? Center-left Labour Party wins Australian election. Opposition leader loses his seat. So they were getting kind of conservative, and then that got squashed. What this feels like to me is what happened when Joe Biden won in this country. And I don't mean to be dicky to anybody in other countries, but I kind of, to a degree, think that we're leading the way. I think really, and I'm going to give it credit, and I know it pisses some people off, but I don't really care. I kind of think Russia led the way, really, because they kicked the deep state out a while back, and they've been ridiculed. They've been our friends through 2 world wars, but then since then became our enemy, only because they were the only ones willing to say, F you, deep state. And they got kicked out of the whole financial system, and Russia still has managed to make it. I'm going to say that, again, it's like their aircraft and the things they make. They make things that are rugged. They're rugged people. You can't break a rugged person. You can't. You can't. So I kind of think they sort of let it. I'm going to give them a little credit. I think we are, when we came on board, or when Trump really got involved, probably, I think that made a huge difference. And I think Russia would probably happily admit that having us and Trump in line with them, or coming together, probably safer way to say it, is making a huge difference in this world. Now we've got Viktor Orban, we've got Bukele, I feel like I'm missing somebody else too, right? We've got some good people. The chick in Italy, we've got some good people. And I'm still missing somebody. I forget who the hell it was. We are changing the world. I feel like I talked about that, yeah? Center left wins Australia, yeah, whatever. I don't know what's going on. This is the new Canadian Prime Minister dude or whatever, and Trump had him there. A couple things. This was the funny part. This isn't the funny part. I don't think I've got it. There was a part where he was talking about how, he's like, Canada will never be part of the United States, never be the 51st state or something weird like that. And Trump's like, never say never. And the guy's like, never. He like mouths it twice. And Trump just kind of acts like he didn't notice that. Oh, Canada, like your guys' national anthem goes, oh, Canada. Yeah, you guys are fucking up hard. At least your government is. We love you guys. I think every American would probably happily say and mean it that we love Canadians. All of you guys, even the ones that hate us. There's a few of you guys. Most of you guys, I think, get where we're at. All said, even my honkers aside, honk. I don't know if they say it. I think because of the Canadian geese, I'm assuming. Otherwise, that's a very strange greeting as a human being. But we don't ask questions sometimes. We just, it is not for me to, what is that, just to do or die? It's not for me to question why, just for me to do or die. Whatever the hell the phrase is. I feel like sometimes that is my life. It's cool, though. I'm happy with it, I guess. Sort of. Anyway, here's Trump talking to this guy here.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated. But more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal, it was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately.
So what's funny is the Houthis, as he says so properly, the Houthis. The Houthi spokesman, he's denied this, though. He's breaking news from Insider Paper. Houthi spokesman says the group will not stop attacking red ships. Now, Insider Paper, oddly, they don't source their stuff sometimes. Normally, they're kind of okay, but I don't know. I think this is probably a crap Houthi spokesman. But anyway, there's other people that don't source their stuff, and it pisses me off. Really pisses me off. And I get why people do it. People do it, by the way, just in case some of you don't know. And this is I get it. It's just, it's horrible. But a lot of times you do it because you don't want them to go to the source. You want them to use you as the source. But the problem is if you were the source, then every time you're wrong or you make shit up, then I'm just trusting you. And that's, I think, bad advice. It is the only real reason why I like to share my sources. You may not agree with them. You may think it's a crap source. The way I spin it, you may disagree with. Whatever, right? But at least I'm like, here's the thing. Whoops. Here's the, other than my face, here's the thing that I'm basing this whole part of the story on, right? And right, wrong, and different. I'm not saying I'm doing it the right way. I'm just saying I don't like the idea of trusting people. I don't, as a rule. It's just unfortunate. It's been trust. It's just the way life has worked, especially as we've gotten heavily into this building a channel / end of the world weird shit, right? It's not end, but, transition. Israeli military on Tuesday issued an evacuation warning for Yemen's Sana'a International Airport, saying being in the nearby area exposes you to danger. You will likely die. And they got attacked, to the best of my understanding. Maybe it's not in that story. I thought it was. I thought I had it. Yeah, we had some nonsense. Houthi media reports Israeli and U.S. strikes on Sana'a Airport. I guess I just didn't share it. There was a bunch of pictures. They were all over the place. They hit a bunch of different targets. Not just leveled this airport. They hit a bunch of different targets. I don't know what they hit at the airport, frankly. Nobody does, right? It's just battle damage assessment, right? BDA. We don't know quite yet, if we ever will. Israel prepares Operation Gideon's Chariots to take over Gaza. This is supposedly big time going into effect, so this expectation is any day. I don't know. I right now at this point, I'm just kind of taking life as it happens, folks. Having an opinion after the effect is, I don't know, kind of like getting hemorrhoids. Just doesn't help. It's not good. It's not benefiting anybody, right? Who cares? What we're heading into, I just know that we're not in charge of this totally. We're just doing our best to guide and steer it. I know from our consciousness standpoint, and I think my audience in particular, I hope we're focusing on the world we want to live in, not so much of the world we don't want to live in, because you'll find it actually makes a huge difference when you focus on what you'd like to experience versus what you don't want, which is how most people do it. They'll try to negate a negative, right? Like, I don't want to be sick, or I don't want to be injured, or I don't want to crash, or I don't want to, right? Like, you say weird things. It's like, I don't want to. Well, why don't you say, I wish to stay healthy. I wish to drive safe. I wish to have green lights instead of red. Or I wish to, right? Like, say the positive. What do you want? What do you actually want to experience? This is the big, big, big thing that needs to happen with everybody right now. We need to figure this out, how to think that way. We've been programmed to think the other way, and it keeps you imprisoned. It keeps you imprisoned. I wish I could make it easier. I wish I could just smack people and be like, seriously, prove me wrong. I dare you. God, I wish you guys would try it. It's amazing what it does. Second night of Moscow, drone raid halts flight ahead of major military parade. They've got this parade, I think, tomorrow, the 7th, right? Is it the 8th? 9th? Okay, let's try that day. The 9th, apparently, is the actual day that Nazism was destroyed in Europe. Dun, dun, dun. Good job, Russia, by the way. I know you're not supposed to say that as an American and supposed to have, Ukraine as my background or some stupid shit. But I'm Dan. I don't know if you've met me. I don't do that. 9th parade, though, is coming. I'm very curious because it's supposed to have Xi Jinping of China is supposed to be there as well as other people. And Zelensky sort of hinted that I can't guarantee your safety. And this will be interesting. Now, again, I know Russia is going to do whatever it can and whatever it needs to protect. But if Ukraine attacks while world leaders are there, well, that's Ukraine attacking world leaders. See, he won't do that, and the world leaders know it. And they're like, F you. We're going to Russia, not to Kyiv. And they're not going to. So we'll see what they keep crying about, but they're not going to pull off anything. OpenAI blinks. Apparently it was going to go for this for-profit structure. They've now pulled back from that. That was the whole reason Elon Musk was pissed off at them. It wouldn't have been good either, by the way. The fact that they're pulling back from that's a wonderful thing. So this is cool that this is happening. They said that we made the decision for the nonprofit to retain control of OpenAI after hearing from civic leaders and engaging in constructive dialogue with the offices of the Attorney General of Delaware and the Attorney General of California. Basically saying, all right, screw it. We'll stay nonprofit, which is good because that means there's some exposure and openness and all that kind of good stuff. So that's helpful. DOJ proposes breakup of Google's ad tech products. I'd love to see this. I know Google's going to be like, you're not going to make any more money on AdSense. Yeah, we will. Probably more. Probably make more money on my friggin' Rumble platform finally, frankly. To be honest, you guys bombard the shit out of my poor friggin' listeners. Might as well, or viewers, might as well at least get better kickback. YouTube paid surprisingly well back in the day, but they don't anymore. I'm hearing multiple creators complaining about the revenues drying up big time in YouTube. They're making it sound like it's because they're being censored. Most of these guys don't talk, at least some of them, some of these guys don't talk about stuff that I think is censorship worthy. I think YouTube's drying up because I think a lot of people are starting to come to the conservative side of the fence, aka Rumble probably, and I would say X, probably the two biggest right now. I mean, Meta and all them, but they're good. They get exposure better than the other sites that I just mentioned. Well, X, yeah, they're better than the other sites I mentioned. Whatever the case is. It's all fun. Oh, yeah, this was just something I posted earlier. Wonder where I'm at. I was just having fun. I don't get a lot of views. I don't get a lot of anything. But I get, I put some stuff out every once in a while. Yeah. At OTF with DRS. That's me. At OTF with DRS. This is me on X. I don't know. I put out I still think this is funny for the European countries that aren't allowed to say anything, or any of the countries for that matter, that aren't allowed to say anything, that's mean about a certain group. So they say, I have this speaking in opposites concept going on. So my quote is, speaking in opposites, and you got to say that first so everybody understands this is what I'm doing. So speaking in opposites, France, Canada, Germany, England have the greatest governments ever. See? That way I'm not offending anybody. And I'm saying exactly what I want to say, which is France, Canada, Germany, England suck balls. Their governments, anyways. Regular citizens are fantastic. So, I don't know. I thought it was funny. That said, if you guys want to follow me on Truth, no. Well, Truth too, but on X, whatever the hell this is called, at OTF with DRS. At OTF with DRS. Yeah, again, I post some stuff. I post my videos every day over there too. The easy place to find them as well. So again, whatever you'd like. I love you guys. We're going to continue rocking and rolling. We are in the transition that is happening right now. It just is. Grab your ankles if you feel you need to. Otherwise, just do the best you can. Help as many people as you can with this. And we will get through this. And things will be significantly better. Any transitionally change type weird things that might be ahead of us, once we get through this and unite back for the most part, we'll be able to move mountains, unquestionably, much like the faith of a mustard seed. So we are doing much. Continue the fight, guys. I love you guys. I'm going to be right there with you, shoulder to shoulder. We're heading in this direction. Come with me, if you will. We're going to change the world. This is where I'm going. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.